Hey guys, this is John Corabi, and you are listening to and watching Talking About Rock.
Okay, today's guest has been described as a rock journeyman. He's been cutting his teeth in the hard rock world for nearly a decade, with a long list of contributions and collaborators with such bands as Motley Crue, Brides of Destructions, the Dead Daisies, Eric Singer Project, and Union. His debut full-length solo album, New Day, is due out April 24th from Frontiers Music. Joining us now, let's welcome John Corabi. Hello, John.
Hey boss, how you doing, killer?
Doing well, doing well. So your new album, man, this music and lyrics really sound like a reflection of your life here. A lot of emotional energy going on here.
Yeah, it's just it was this was a weird record. It was very easy to write. I can't explain it, but I wrote it with my partner in crime, Marti Frederiksen. And just getting into the studio with him, we had so much fun, and it was over before it started. So it was the whole thing was enjoyable. Just happened. It was organic, and can't wait to do it again.
I was going to say, this is probably kind of a different experience for you because you're usually in a band environment and you have to treat it a certain way or a certain style. You're kind of really free here to kind of do what you want, right?
Yeah, and it's funny. My wife just said that to me. She goes, "You know what I love about this record? This is a true. This is John Corabi. Like, this is you. This to me sounds like something you would do." And I'm like, okay, I'll take that.
Right, yeah.
But for me, dude, like I think the one thing that I was concerned with, or I'm probably the only, I'll say, plan that Marty and I had was we were talking about it, how, any band that puts a record out or they do a single, whatever, I even some of the fans to a degree, they try to figure out what box to put it in.
Right.
Like, oh, wait, is this hard rock or is this classic rock? Is it metal? Where does this?
Right, because there's a lot of stuff going on. There's like 70s rock, soul, you got some blues going on in there. It's a little bit of a mix-up, right?
Yeah, and that's what I wanted. That's what I grew up listening to. I love bands like Bob Seger, Creedence Clearwater Revival. I mean, even Rod Stewart, like his stuff with Faces and his early solo material. Zeppelin, Queen, Beatles, Stones. They were able to use a lot of different elements and put it into their songs, and it just fit. It worked. But that was in a time when there were no real boxes.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was just I think it was called album rock.
Right, exactly.
Album. Yep. What was it? Album AOR radio, whatever.
Yeah. When FM was big, FM was the big thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like I just wanted to get back to that. And honestly, love it or hate it, I love the record because it's exactly what I wanted to do.
Yeah, I'm really, really liking it. The first single, New Day, great 70s rock vibe to that, and when I was young, really, I mean, it's like we're taking a trip with you. It's like a glimpse into your life when I hear that song. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and again, that was, I don't want to say it's my favorite because I like all the songs on the record a lot, but that one was a little bit more personal. Like even with Marty, we both have sons. And my son's a musician. His son actually is a musician. And actually, records a lot of stuff with Marty. He's like his assistant engineer, producer. So we're constantly with both of our kids, we're going, well, okay, back when I was, here's how I did this. And then, so you find yourself giving advice,
Right.
So it's just like I said in the description, it's like a trip down memory lane while you're in conversation with your, offspring, and kind of giving them the pluses and minuses of life, the mistakes you made, achievements you've made, and like, here's how I did this. Don't do this. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. Yep. I
And,
find
and, and
myself doing the same thing with my son. I always say back in the day.
yeah,
That's what I say.
and it's like it was. We kid around about our parents. When they like, I walked 18 miles to school, no shoes, uphill
Both
in the
ways.
snow. Yeah, both ways. And you're like, oh my god, dude, seriously. But now as we get, we're older, we're adults. We kind of figure, oh, I get what he was saying. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of and it doesn't even have to be a father and son. It could be a mother and daughter. It could be a father and daughter. It's just giving advice to you're reminiscing, but as you're giving advice to your, the fruit of your loins, if you will.
Yeah, definitely a great track for sure, for sure. And you were saying like looking back in history. So wanted to go through a little bit of your history here with you. As people have done before. Obviously, in '92, you replaced Vince Neil in Motley Crue, which I think has to be one of the most difficult tasks for any singer to come into a well-known band and do that. But what I thought was really interesting, you would go on years later actually to perform with Vince on a 4-day Monsters or Motley Crue cruise, and you guys performed on stage together doing Highway to Hell. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, actually, it's funny. There's, and it's more the fans than anything. But if I was to see Vince right now, he'd probably give me a hug. Hey, Crabby, and we'd probably sit down and have a cocktail together.
Right.
I've never had an issue with Vince. Even when he came back and he was doing the Generation Swine record.
Right.
I sat with him a bunch and talked.
Which
He was like, hey,
you wrote some of that stuff for that.
yeah,
Also,
it was like,
right?
hey, dude, I don't have any hard feelings. He's like, yep, nope, me either. I was like, sorry about your daughter. He's like, sorry about your son, having diabetes. And, and I've seen Vince a gazillion times since then. He doesn't care. He's like, oh yeah, dude, and we'll sit on his bus or he'll come on my bus and we'll just sit and bullshit for hours.
Yeah, see, that's what the fans really like to hear. You know what I mean? They hear so much of this back and forth, crazy stuff going on, and then as fans, that's what we hope at some point. If there is a problem, we hope it gets taken care of, right?
Yeah, I'm. To be honest with you, I was just, God, Tommy and I were just texting, like a month ago. We were going back and forth, and he saw that I got a record deal. He's like, hey, good luck with the record, bro. And, I played him some stuff, and he was like, awesome. I still talk to Mick.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. So you did some work with Mick, and I've been told he's currently working on his second solo album. So any chances we hear from you on some vocals on there?
I couldn't tell you, buddy. Like I speak with Mick, but Mick's wrapped up in his thing. I've got like between the Daisies and this solo record that I do. I just did. I've been busier than it's been crazy, but I'll shoot him up. Like Mick and I, our birthdays are like 2 weeks apart. So I'll get a text from him on for my birthday. I'll send him one. If I see a funny meme or a joke or whatever, I'll send it to him. And so I'm all good with all those guys. The only one I don't really talk to, and it's unfortunate, is Nikki. And that's his choice. Do
Right.
you know what I mean? So
right.
I'm not upset with any of those guys. I have nothing bad to say about those
Right,
guys.
because it was a business decision, right? I
Yeah,
mean, that's how
and
you got to take it, right?
yeah, I understood that, but at the bottom line of it is, I guess what I was trying to say is a lot of fans just, you know, think that Vince and I can't stand each other, and that's
Right.
couldn't be farther from the truth. You know what I mean? So even his girlfriend, Rain, when she was in that plane accident, I just shot her a message, "Hey, kiddo, hope you're okay."
Yeah, because that was crazy when we heard about that. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
nuts.
And it was like, so I'm fine with all those guys. Even Nikki, if Nikki came in here and wanted to talk, I'd be like, "Hey, dude, how you been? What's up? How the kids?" But whatever. It is what it is. So there is no bad blood between me and Motley Crue at all.
Excellent, excellent to hear. Good that you still chat with them every once in a while. And you also mentioned, the other band, in 2015, you joined the Dead Daisies, which has kind
Yes.
of been a revolving project of different folks working in that. Some great music coming out of that band. You did tours supporting Kiss throughout Europe and Australia. It's just some amazing stuff going on there.
Yeah, God, man, that thing's been going since 2013, which is why it's funny. I said earlier how everything was very easy doing my solo record. I got offered the deal last year while I was on tour with the Daisies. And then management said, "Hey, man, we've been going pretty hard since 2013. We're going to take a year off." So I was like, "Oh, this works out even better." So I've got nothing to do all year but focus on this record, my solo album. And then they've already started planting dates for March of 2027. So, and again, it's, the best part of this thing is everybody on my record, my solo record, I did it with friends of mine here in Nashville. And then I do get to do the Dead Daisies, and it's still a bunch of friends of mine that I've known I've known Doug Aldrich since he was 16 years old back in Philadelphia. So I feel very blessed. I have two little outlets to do music: my solo life, my Dead Daisies life, and I get to do it with all of my friends. So it's life doesn't suck.
Yeah, definitely. So let's talk a little bit about that. Some of the folks that played on the record, and then we'll talk about some of the folks that you got going out with you for John Corabi and friends here. So
Okay,
you got Evan Frederiksen on drums,
that's Marty's son. Yes.
which is very cool. Richard Fortus, on lead guitar,
Yep.
and you got Paul Taylor on here contributing piano, organ, and clarinet.
Clavinet.
Clarinet,
Yeah.
yeah. And then you got Charlie Starr on here from Blackberry Smoke, which they're doing great too.
Yeah, I love Charlie's playing. I actually just kind of reached out. I know Charlie, but I don't really know him. Know him, you know what I mean? Like we met a few times, and so I just wrote to him. I said, "Hey, dude, I love your playing. Would you be interested in like playing a solo for me on my solo record?" So again, I don't know if you've heard the whole record, but there's a song. I think it's the third song on the record. It's called "Faith, Hope, and Love." So I sent that to Charlie, told him kind of what I wanted, and he heard the song. He goes, "Dude, awesome. Yes, count me in." So he came up with that great intro in the beginning, and he did all the solos and some nice rhythms on there. And it was funny. About a week later, he sent me this idea on his phone, and he goes, "Hey, man, I'd love to write this song with you and Marty." And it wound up being the second song on the record. It's called "That Memory." So,
Excellent.
uh, yeah, Charlie, I can't thank Charlie enough, and Richard Fortus and all those guys that contributed to the sound of the New Day record. It was really awesome.
Yeah, I've only got a chance to check out the first two tracks. They did finally send me the whole album today, so I'll definitely be digging into it some more. But let's talk about what you got going on for tour now. So you got John Corabi and friends. You're starting in Belfast, Ireland, on
Yep.
February 12th. Who's going out there with you? You got some great players coming with you. It looks like as well.
Yeah, it's again, it was like it was I don't know how I did it, but I got Paul Taylor obviously played keyboards on the record, and he goes, "Well, dude, man, your stuff sounds great. Like, if you need a keyboard guitarist," I said, "I do." So Paul came in. Uh, I got Michael Devon, who plays with me in the Daisies, but with Whitesnake, I've known Michael since 1999. Michael came on board. I had Jeremy Asbrock on guitar and vocals. Jeremy played with me years ago. I did some touring before, and when I was doing those Motley Crue shows. So but for the last 7, 8, 10 years, he was playing with Ace Frehley.
Right.
Ace obviously passed away. I called to give him, "Hey, condolences, bro. Like, sorry to hear about Ace." And then we started talking. I told him about the record. I let him hear it, and I said, "I need a guitar player. Do you want to?" And he was like, "Oh, yes." So he came back, and then Marti Frederiksen had so much fun doing the album. He wanted to play guitar, so he's on guitar and vocals. And then last to the lineup was Mr. Troy Laketta from Tesla. He heard the album, and we talked on the phone. He goes, "Dude, I love your stuff. Count me in, dude. I want to rock again." So I'm like, "Okay." So the band it's a 6-piece band. It's like crazy. Everybody's the lead singer, but Troy. So the backing vocals are great. Everybody plays great. But the best part of it is everybody's just chill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, nobody's doing it for the money. Everybody's just, let's go over to Europe. Let's have some fun. Let's get out and rock again. And it's not about the money. It's just about going out and hanging out with a bunch of friends, having some fun. And then, whatever, just play some rock, classic rock music.
Yeah, I hear that over and over from so many musicians. It's about the hang. I mean, you wanna gel musically, obviously, but if you can't get along with these people, day in and day out on the road and in hotels, to be able to hang out, like you said, yeah, that's the best to do that.
Yeah, and I told him, I said, "Listen, guys, I mean, I probably have the smallest resume of everybody in the band. You know what I mean? I'm like, I can't pay you what you guys made in Tesla and Winger and Whitesnake and all that other stuff." And they're like, "Hey, dude, don't care. Just I don't want to owe money at the end of the week.
Right.
I'm good. Let's just go out and have some fun."
Yep.
So,
Yep. Just tell them it's a new day for Corabi and friends. Definitely.
yeah, exactly. So
right.
it's been cool. We did one show here in Nashville, and it was great. So can't wait to get out and play it again.
Yep. So you're, like we were saying, you're in Belfast, Ireland, starting February 12th. You got some shows out there. Then you finally come back to the States on May 7th with joining up with Tom Kiefer, doing shows with him. That looks like that's going to be amazing for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. Actually, we just added a show in Sayreville, New Jersey. So we start actually on the 5th with Tom. And then so I do most of May with Tom. Then I'm going back over to Europe again for a very quick little weekend run. And then we're back out with Tom again, I think, in June and July. So it's going to be cool, dude. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely looks like that's going to be great. All right. Well, thank you so much, John, for chatting with us today. It has definitely been a pleasure, and best of luck with the new album and the tour.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, and folks, you can check out the video for New Day and When I Was Young with links on our website in our Hall of Video at talkingaboutrock.com. All right, that wraps up this episode. Thank you to my guest today, the legendary John Corabi. And to our listeners, we hope you're doing your part by keeping the torch alive and supporting live music wherever you are. John, again, thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.